Twelfth Night or what you will. Sebastian and Viola, the brother and sister, were twins, and they resembled each other so much that if they had not worn different dresses, nobody could tell them apart. One day, when they were traveling on board, their ship was caught in a storm and broken to pieces. Not many on the ship could be saved, but the captain of the ship, with a few sailors and Viola, managed to make it to the shore of Illyria in a small boat. So Viola was safe, but she was mad with grief for her dear brother. But the captain told her that he had seen her brother tying himself to a pole and swimming on the waves. The news comforted Viola a great deal, and she hoped that Sebastian too might be safe somewhere. Now Viola's concern was what she would do in this strange land. She was not familiar with the place, which must be far away from her home. So she asked the captain if he knew anything about the place. The captain told her that he was not a stranger there, for he was born in a place which was just 3 hours' travel from it. The name of the place was Illyria, and it was governed by Orsino the Duke. The Duke was noble and kind. Viola thought that she had heard about Orsino, who had not married. The captain said that the Duke was not married, but he should have been married if the lady he loved, Olivia, had not lost her brother and gone into mourning. Viola asked the captain if he could take her to Olivia, for she would very much like to serve that lady. But the captain said that Olivia would not allow even the Duke to see her since her brother's death. So Viola thought she would put on man's clothes and become a page of the Duke. The captain agreed to help her. He bought her clothes, and putting them on, she looked like Sebastian. When she was brought before the Duke and introduced to him as Cesario, the Duke liked the handsome youth and made her one of his pages. Very soon Cesario won the affection of Orsino and became his most favored servant. He told Cesario how he loved Olivia, the beautiful daughter of a rich count who was dead. But Olivia did not love him and refused to see him. This unkind treatment of the lady left him unhappy, and he showed little interest in sports or exercises that delighted him so long. He spent his time listening to the sad notes of love songs, keeping away from friends and wise lords. Now he had Cesario, and he spent his days talking to him. Cesario, a girl in disguise, had the heart of a woman, and in this heart the suffering of the Duke left its mark. She too began to suffer for the Duke, and she hated Olivia for making the Duke suffer. She could not understand how a woman could neglect such a worthy lover. The more she thought, the deeper became her admiration for her lord, the Duke. She said, "I pity your Olivia, my lord, and I pity you for loving such an unworthy and blind woman. If she does not love you, I do not see why you should still love her and pine for her." But Orsino had his own reason. So he said, "I love Olivia and I love her forever. No other woman in this world can love me as much, nor should one compare my Olivia to any other woman." But in her heart, Viola was as much in love with the Duke as the Duke was with Olivia. As they were talking, a gentleman whom the Duke had sent to Olivia returned. He was not allowed to see Olivia. A maid told him that the lady had vowed not to see the face of a man for 7 years. During this time, she would live like a nun, weeping in memory of her dead brother. The Duke, though sad, admired the lady who must have emptied her heart of love to pay the debt of her dear brother. So how could she love him now? Hearing all this, Viola only pitied Olivia, for her sorrow was akin to hers, as she too had lost her brother. But her sympathy for the Duke made her love him more sincerely. As she had already gained the confidence of her master, Orsino now decided to send Viola to Olivia with a love letter from him. He said, "Find some way to see the lady and tell her how I love her in spite of her unkindness. She must listen to you, for you are so handsome and young. So Viola was sent on an errand, and at the gates she asked the servant if she could see Olivia. But the servant said, "My lady is ill, and you cannot see her." But Viola insisted on seeing her, saying, "I will not leave before you let me in." Then the man said, "She is fast asleep, no one can disturb her now." Viola still insisted, and the servant could not but let his mistress know about it. Olivia was quite interested, and she asked the servant to tell her about the young man. When the servant described young Viola as handsome, she told him to let her in. But before the visitor came, Olivia veiled her face and prepared herself to receive the same message from the Duke as she had been receiving for quite some time now. Viola came and saw the veiled lady. She knew that the veiled lady was Olivia, but she would not deliver the message until the other women in the room were sent out. She said, "My words, my lady, are for your ears alone. So send away your maids and take off your veil, so that I can speak freely." The lady grew curious, and she took off her veil and sent out her maids. Alone with Olivia in the room, Viola told the lady how Orsino loved her and suffered for her. She said, "If I had loved you as much as my master does, I would build a cottage at your gates, live there and call your name aloud. I would write love songs and sing to you until you would pity me." Olivia said, "I would love to see you doing so, but I shall never love your master. Return to your master and tell him so. But you must come again to tell me how you received my message." Olivia felt she was already in love with the Duke's page. She did not know that the page was a lady like her. She offered Viola money, but Viola would not take it. Before leaving, Viola begged her to be kind and sympathetic to her master. When Viola had left, Olivia had come to deliver her own message. She would welcome her. She felt that Viola had conquered her heart, and she would anxiously wait now to see Viola again. But to her, Viola was Cesario. Now she began to plan how to encourage Cesario to visit her again. She was very much in love with the handsome page, and now she took her ring, gave it to a servant, and told him, "Run after the Duke's messenger who has just left and give this ring to him. I cannot accept this ring that the Duke had sent as a present, for it will encourage the Duke to think that I have changed my mind. But you must tell the messenger that I would very much like it if he drops in tomorrow." The servant Malvolio left at once to find Viola. But Viola knew that the Duke had sent no ring, and Olivia sent it for her. She pitied Olivia as she was but in love with a lady in disguise. It was in a queer situation. The Duke loved Olivia, but Olivia loved Viola in disguise of Cesario, and Viola loved the Duke. She did not know how to come out of the tangle. On her return, Viola told the Duke what Olivia had said. But the Duke would not take that answer as final, and Viola felt to make him see it was no use hoping. He asked Viola to see Olivia again and persuade her to accept the jewel as a present from him. So Viola went to visit Olivia again, and this time she had little difficulty in entering and being shown in the lady's presence. She begged the lady to show a little kindness to her lord, but Olivia would not listen. She said that Cesario should not say anything taking his name, and she despised that name. Then she became frank enough to tell Viola how she loved her. Viola saw the tangle again, and she did not know how to respond. She hastened to tell Olivia that she has vowed never to love a woman. Saying this, she left the palace. While Viola was with Olivia, Sebastian, her lost brother, was in the town with Antonio, the captain of a ship. When Sebastian, tied to the mast, was struggling against the waves in the sea, Antonio's ship came that way, and he was picked up and saved. The captain was kind, and he cared for Sebastian, and 3 months later reached the shores of Livia. Sebastian was eager to visit the town and see the Duke of Livia, but Antonio would not let him go alone. though he himself was afraid to enter the town. In a recent fight, he had wounded the Duke's nephew, and if his men could recognize him, he would be in prison. They put up in an inn at night, and in the morning he told Sebastian to go into the town. He gave him his purse and told him to be careful. Antonio promised to see him again at the inn. In Olivia's palace, something happened in the meantime. Olivia had an uncle, Sir Toby Belch. He was a drunkard. He was anxious to introduce his friend Sir Andrew Argucheck to his niece. This Sir Andrew was a boastful, cowardly fellow. Olivia was very much annoyed with him. One day Olivia's servant Malvolio rebuked Sir Toby for his drunken habits. This Malvolio was a conceited person and a little overbearing in his ways, and so Olivia's maid planned to teach him a lesson. She copied the handwriting of her mistress and wrote a letter to Malvolio to make him believe that Olivia was in love with him. The letter sought to encourage Malvolio to ask for the lady's hand and become her lord. Malvolio fell into the trap easily and ended by making a fool of himself. Sir Toby enjoyed the joke, and he thought of using his friends Sir Andrew and Viola. When Viola came to visit Olivia and was ready, admitted, Sir Andrew became quite jealous. Now Sir Toby encouraged his friend to knock Viola down, for that was how he could regain Olivia's favour. Sir Andrew challenged Viola to fight with him. Sir Toby told Viola that his friend was a brave knight and extremely fierce in his ways. And to his friend he said the same thing about Viola. Thus he succeeded in frightening his friend as much as Viola. As they faced each other, Viola was about to tell Sir Andrew that she was a woman. A stranger came there, drawing his sword and challenging Sir Andrew to fight with him. This stranger was Captain Antonio, who took Viola for Sebastian. He came there looking for Sebastian. As he found him in danger, he came to defend him. Viola was surprised, though quite relieved, to see the stranger defending her. But before the fight began, the Duke's men came there to arrest Antonio, whom they had recognized. Antonio then turned to Viola and said, "This is what I feared, but I had to come to find you, for I was afraid you must be in danger." He asked now for his purse that he would need, but Viola failed to make out what he said. But still she offered him some money. She had to help the man who came to help her. This angered Antonio for taking Viola for Sebastian. He was shocked to find him so ungrateful. He could not believe that Sebastian would ever refuse to recognize him. He reproached Viola for her ingratitude. Viola grew curious when she found the stranger addressing her as Sebastian. But before she could learn anything more, the stranger was taken away. After this, Viola too left the palace in haste, as she was afraid of the fight. No sooner had Viola left than Sebastian arrived there, and Sir Andrew, taking him for Viola, rushed at him and struck him a blow on the head. Sebastian was not a coward, so he hid the knight back and drawing his sword called on him to fight. As the fight was about to begin, Olivia came there and, taking Sebastian for Cesario, told them to sheath their swords. She ordered Sir Andrew to leave the place, but invited Sebastian into her house. Now it was the turn of Sebastian to be surprised. He did not know the lady, but the lady behaved as though she knew him for a long time. He followed Olivia into the house, where the lady spoke to him affectionately and treated him like an intimate friend. Sebastian wondered if it was a dream. Whatever it was, he liked it very much. Then he doubted if the lady was in her senses. But then she gave orders to her servants and conducted herself quite sensibly. So in spite of his surprise, he agreed to her proposal when she asked to marry her. Thus Olivia and Sebastian were married by a priest, and the marriage was kept secret. After this, Sebastian went to find his friend Antonio. Meanwhile, Viola told her master that Olivia hated even to hear his name. Orsino could see now that it was no use sending messages anymore. Instead, he decided to go himself and speak to Olivia. So he took Viola and other attendants and went to visit Olivia's palace. As the Duke was waiting outside, his men arrived with Antonio in chains. Antonio, on seeing Viola with the Duke, told the Duke how he saved Sebastian and how ungrateful he was. He related the events since the day Sebastian was picked up from the sea and the events leading to his arrest. But the Duke would not believe him, for Viola was with him for a long time, and she could not have any relation with the captain. So he ordered his men to take him away, and he turned to Olivia and told her of her cruelties to him and how he loved her in spite of her heartless refusals. But Olivia, instead of listening to him, turning to Viola and taking her for her husband Sebastian, spoke to her with affection. This made the Duke suspicious of Viola's intentions. Instead of delivering his message, Viola must have won the lady's love himself. He was very angry with Viola. Viola was also very embarrassed to find Olivia speaking to her in that manner. So, ignoring Olivia, he remained with the Duke and said to him how devoted she was to him. Olivia was desperate now, and forgetting her promise to keep the marriage secret, she called Viola her husband. Viola protested in vain. Meanwhile, the priest who married Olivia to Sebastian arrived and confessed that Olivia was telling the truth. The Duke was furious to find himself betrayed by his own page, though Viola went on protesting. Now, to make the confusion still worse, Sebastian arrived and addressed Olivia as his wife. He saw Antonio and greeted him with delight. The resemblance between Viola and Sebastian struck everybody dumb, but soon they realized their mistake. When the Duke knew that Viola was a woman and Olivia was already married to another man, he made Viola his wife. Thus they all came out of the tangle after the happy reunion of Viola and Sebastian. Please like, share and comment on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.